How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the Understable Podcast, episode number 52. I'm not alone. I'm joined by my co-host, Mark Boonstra. Say hello, buddy.
What's up, everybody? Hope you've been having a great couple of weeks. I know I sure have. Brandon, I know you've got some things going on, but
not so great.
Life is still good.
Life is good. Life is good. Let's be honest. Life is good. I'm happy. I'm busy. There's a lot going on, but I'm happy. I'm happy.
Good. So what's new in the disc golf world?
In the disc golf world, we've had a lot of exciting tournaments. Most recently, we had DDO, and
Yes.
and now this is we kind of like not like a segue, but a preview. But people have been a little bit outspoken, I feel like, about the baskets at DDO, more so this year than we've seen in a long time, and that kind of leads us to what our main topic is going to be. One of our main topics, and that's going to be
the main course.
That's going to be should there be a regulation basket in the Disc Golf Pro Tour? And just to cause a little bit of controversy between myself and my partner here, and maybe even you in the crowd, our sweet audience, we're going to pick what baskets we think would be the perfect baskets for the Disc Golf Pro Tour. Right, Mark?
Something along those lines, yeah.
I'm gonna pick.
That's fair.
I'm gonna
That's
pick
fair.
a line. I'm gonna find a hill and I'm gonna die on it. You don't have to if you don't want to, but I'm
Hey,
going to.
there you go. So before we hit the main course, let's shout it out real quick. So Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, look me up, Mark Boonstra. I'm on all of YouTube. It's Mark Boonstra _ disc golf.
Mhm.
Brandon, what about you?
Instagram.com/Brandon L. Schmucker. And you can find me on YouTube.com/@0_BLS. That is for Pokemon content. I do some competitive Pokemon stuff. If you're interested in that, definitely check that out. What about sponsorships? What do we got going on for sponsorships, Mark?
Sponsorship, same as before. I'm sponsored by Catalyst Disc Golf this year. That is it. As most of you know, I stepped down from Team Prodigy this year. So, yeah, I have other things in life that have taken priority over the competitive disc golf scene for me.
But that's okay. Thank you, Catalyst Disc, for sponsoring Mark. Thank you so much. And then for me, still sponsored by Disc Baron. If you want a little bit of cash off of your order, discbaron.com, use the code 71353 at checkout. 3 years strong with Disc Baron. Hopefully we keep that going for a 4th year, 5th year. We'll see how things go next year. I got to play a little more, but, personal things going on. But yes, shout outs to Disc Baron. Thank you for having me. And
yes, thank you, Disc Baron.
Yep. And thanks for giving all our listeners a fun discount, 71353.
Yeah. Maybe we can talk to them, bring them on board or something as a partner of the show. Who knows?
Yeah. We got to interview Jake.
Get on it.
We got to interview Jake.
Get on it. Get on it.
We need to get the Disc Baron in here and talk about like his experience.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So one more side note before we jump into everything.
Okay.
For those of you that have followed our Facebook and have seen the posts I made, I have actually started a Discord server for the podcast. Link is posted on our Facebook page, so check that out. Click the link, join us. It's just a place where we can get together, get our fans to join us, and just chat about disc golf, all kinds of different things, pro tips, tournament talks, disc that are coming out, questions of the day, kind of stuff like that. So
yeah, and I will link
join
that.
us.
I'll link that in the description of the YouTube video as well. Hopefully it lets me. It's giving us like a little bit of a limit on what we can post because we're so small right now because we just started the YouTube aspect of this show. So guys, if you're listening on Spotify and girls, pardon me, like us, follow us, and subscribe on YouTube. We would love to live stream the show. I think that would be really fun. We get the side chat bar going.
Yes.
Do a little stream.
That's one of our goals.
Yep, you guys be part of it. But we need more subscribers. We need more subscribers. That's the easiest thing you can do to support the channel is to subscribe to the YouTube and give us a 5-star review. I'm holding up 10
Please
fingers.
do.
Yes. So anyway, Mark, what do we got going on? What's good?
So disc golf for you has kind of been slow the past few months.
Oh, it sure has.
For me, though, on the other hand, it has not been. Although I'm not competing as much, and I'm only playing once or twice a week, so I'm not playing a ton right now. But I took over the league that I started. I'm sorry, I can't say I took over. I stepped back up and became the lead director again for the league I started about 7 years ago. Mm-hmm. It was either somebody take over or the league died, and I didn't want to see what I built, die away.
Yeah.
So that's been pretty good. It's a singles format right now, and for those of you in the Dayton area, it's at Germantown at Twin Creek Disc Golf coming out Friday nights. A spot's going to be 180 something this next week, so coming out, try and hit it, or let it grow. Don't try and hit it. That's fair too.
Yeah, leave it for Mark to hit.
Yeah, please do. Just kidding. But it's a fun league. I mean, we just come out, have a good time, enjoy some friends, and just play some disc golf. Have fun with it. Get a little cash on the side while you're at it.
Is it a standard 18-hole format? Or?
Yes, it is 18 holes. Majority of the time it's going to be 18 holes out there. There might be a week to do 27-hole layout or all 30 baskets, or I might travel to another course.
Yeah.
So the way the course is set up, there's a red course and a black course, and I believe it's 14 or 16 holes are intertwined.
Okay.
But there's a specific 18 holes that I run for league that only 6 of the holes are intertwined. Mm. And it takes out the short pitch and putts. It takes out the ace runs. It's actually the more difficult part of the course that I play, and that's why I do it that way. Mm-hmm. But interesting thing happened last week. It's the first time this has ever happened to me. I'm on course hole 23, I think it was 22, and I threw my HDV2 perfect hyzer flip late turn, and I was like, man, if I could do that in 2 holes, I'm acing it. Cool, right? Well, I get to the next hole, so hole 23 now. Throw my Isaac Robinson F3. Shout out to Isaac. Come join us sometime. We'd love to have you.
Please.
But I threw my Isaac Robinson F3 on a hyzer flip. It flipped up, started to turn, kicked off the last tree and hit chains and kicked out.
No.
So I'm like, all right, that's cool. I think it only hit one chain because it wasn't a loud crash, but it was enough to hear it.
Yeah.
And I think I 4-putt because I just couldn't putt that night. Shocking.
You almost got the Captain America ace off the tree.
Yeah, I've done it once. And then I go to hole 24. Now, mind you, just 2 holes ago, I said if I throw its hyzer flip, I have a good chance of acing it. Mm-hmm. So the very next hole, throw the hyzer flip H3 V2, which for those of you that don't know comparisons, it's very similar to a Wraith for most people's bags.
Yeah.
I hit 2 inches low on the cage from going in the bucket. So never have I had back-to-back ace hits like that almost went in. Insane.
Oh, man.
But that's okay. Let the ace grow.
Yep.
Because 3 years ago when our buddy Kevin came down to play Idlewild, which I'm going to keep bringing up Idlewild because you should come down.
Yeah. I should.
My ace pot was, I think, 300. And nobody hit. It was the last week for league, and nobody hit the ace. So I do a CTP throw off for half the ace pot, and then I roll the rest of the ace pot into my winter league, which we can get into closer to winter.
Yep.
Stinking Kevin comes down and gets the CTP and takes half the ace pot.
How many locals were mad?
Probably all of them.
Because I went to Florida one time. I went to. Oh my gosh, what is the name of the course? I don't remember. It's in Orlando. It's a pretty popular park in Orlando. I went down to play league with those guys just to try the course. Because I wanted to go on a league day and play with a card of people who knew the course. I didn't want to go by myself. It's unfamiliar territory to me. I don't want to get bit by a snake or eaten by a crocodile and have nobody be there to save me. So they wouldn't let me take any of their CTPs and LPs and stuff. And I did hit it. I got a CTP, but I couldn't put my name on it. But it must be because I was from Michigan. They know that Michigan golfers are good.
Either that, or maybe they just have a thing set up with their club where they don't allow outsiders to partake in the extra activities.
Sure, probably. Makes sense. It's Orlando, so it's like tourist central. I bet people hit up their Facebook group every single weekend. Hey, I'm here for the week. Can I play?
Yeah.
They've probably been burned by good players from all over. From all over.
I would expect the guys in Grand Rapids to be similar if I come out and play leagues and during the week,
Yeah.
So this guy from out of town doesn't buy in regularly and just here to play. So
I mean, some
but that's
clubs
one
do
thing,
like you can only get half of it if you're not a member, like half of an ace
yeah,
pool.
like Dayton Disc Golf is supposed to be half the ace spot if you hit it, if you're not a member.
Yeah.
But I look at it as some people just don't want to pay the $10 membership, but they're there every week buying into the ace pot. So
Right.
I pay out everything in the ace pot that's up to said week.
Right.
So like the 180, I think it's 185 or 186 that's coming Friday. That's the ace spot for this week.
Yeah.
And if nobody hits it, it'll go up based on however many show up this week. It'll increase that amount next week. So
yeah,
I always have an ace pot in there that rolls over.
Yep.
So, but anyway, yeah, it was kind of funny watching Kevin hit the CTP for the ace.
Everybody's all mad.
Oh yeah. Now, my original co-host Roy, he hit, I think it was his first ace at league, and it was almost $600. Was my ace pot.
Wow.
And he actually hit a legit ace. Like it went in the It was impressive.
What do you think? What do you think Kevin bought with that ace money? Parts, Transformers. Transformers.
No, I think knowing Kevin, I think he probably put the money into savings. I don't remember. Kevin's very smart with his money, as you know.
Yeah, but he also loves Transformers. I'm betting he bought Transformers.
I think
he can let us know. He can let us know in the comments. I think Transformers.
I mean, he was down here. It was his first year coming down to Idlewild, so.
Well, it was not his first year liking Transformers. I can tell you that.
That is true. Anyway, so shall we dive into the main course thing?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. So again, everybody, we have a Discord channel going up, and I posted 2 questions on there that unfortunately we have no feedback on, but we're going to go ahead and discuss them on the show.
Yep.
The first question is, should the DGPT or PDGA, and I'll refer to that as the tour going forward,
yes, have
a standardized basket that is used at every event rather than different manufacturers' baskets? Brandon, what's your thoughts?
My thoughts? Now we're saying it should be different than manufacturers' baskets?
Well, okay, so you go play at Maple Hill, it's MVP basket. You go to DDO, it's dynamic disc baskets. You go to, every event has sponsored baskets by whoever's sponsoring that event.
Yeah.
Should the tour get away from individual baskets like that and have a standardized basket that they have designed and developed for the tour purposes? So you won't have veterans, you won't have MVPs, you won't have DGAs, you won't have disc crafts. It'll be Disc Golf Pro Tour baskets.
So that's a 2-part question, and I'm going to answer both of those parts as yes and no. Yes being we should get away from, separate baskets at separate events. You're playing on one basket one weekend, and then you're playing on another basket. Like DDO, you're playing on the veterans, and then like you said, MVP, you're playing on the black holes. I do think we should get away from that. I really do. And I'll go into the reasons for myself after you go into your reasons. We absolutely should get away from that for the sake of consistency across the tour. Now, the second part of this is, should it be, should it be designed by the Disc Golf Pro Tour? No, absolutely not. Personally, and maybe I'm a little bit biased, based on how this is going to be kind of mean, based on, some of their earlier versions of the Pro Tour subscription service, I would say absolutely not. I think keeping all of those things in-house takes a lot of time and effort and trial and error. I don't think that something as big as the baskets we're playing on, and I say we, but I mean they, I don't think that something like that should be kind of just kind of left in their hands. I'm sure they'd bring in outside, they would bring in like outside people to consult and design, but now that brings in another aspect of like, who do you bring in to design? Will they, will there be a monetary side to this? You know, like, is it someone from Discraft, you know, and they write you a nice check, you know, to be the designer of your basket? Like, are we going to get into this situation where it's not like whoever's got the fattest wallet gets to design the basket? And then at that point, it's just like, then what was the point at that point?
Right. I understand that aspect.
Yeah. And that's kind of just like, that's me being very pessimistic. Like, realistically, that's a very pessimistic take. And I have optimistic takes too, but like, that's me being like worst case scenario, you know? So it's not necessarily realistic, but what are your thoughts?
So I think, yes, they should absolutely have a standardized basket. That way you take any variable out. Like, you can't say, oh, Prodigy baskets didn't catch. Or you can't blame different baskets because of your different putting style. You don't have to adjust your putt for any other basket. You go to the PGA Tour, every cup is the exact same diameter. It's a standardized thing, and it's pretty standard across all golf courses as well. But I don't think it would come down to who has the fattest wallet. I think it would be the tour as a whole, as a collective unit, comes together and says, hey, we're going to put a committee together and we're going to take inputs from all the different manufacturers, and you design a basket based on that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you take aspects from the disc catchers and aspects from the veterans. You know, you take different concepts from all the different baskets you use, but you standardize your gap between the cage itself and the top rim or the top band. That's a standard, say, 26-inch open. Every basket's the exact same. Or maybe there's enough interest in, say, a Prodigy basket where they do the cross chains in. But now you can't sit there and say, oh, well, this manufacturer didn't catch my putt because I hit a strong side. You know, so like standardizing everything will just make things more, what's the word I'm trying to say?
Consistent?
Yeah, consistent. Because now if you think about it, so you leave DDO and you go out to, say, Las Vegas, you have different baskets at Emporia than you do in Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
So now you have to go, as part of your practice, you have to go get used to putting on those baskets.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if it's the same basket, you already know what you're putting on, so you can spend, in a sense, less time focusing on putting at your practice range.
And you brought up a point that I really want to make, and that's if we had the same basket for every event. Because I don't like this idea that, like, oh, well, you can't putt too hard on this basket, or like you have to hit the middle on this basket, or like blah 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 blah. Like, I don't like that mentality. I don't think it's good.
You take all of that out of question.
Yeah,
all of that's gone with a standardized basket because you know how to put on that basket.
I don't think that's like fair for a player to tell them that they need to change their putt when they go to their next event. You know what I mean? Like, Matty O's putt is a lot different than Kevin Jones' putt, and they're going to react very differently off the basket. I don't think it's fair that Matty O or Kevin Jones have to make those kinds of drastic changes because one week they're at DDO and the next they're going to Vegas, and it's a completely different experience on the basket.
Right. And it's as simple as the material for, say, the disc catcher chains. They're more of just a regular steel, like a galvanized steel.
Yeah.
Whereas the veterans are stainless steel,
which I think is a lot of the kickback from veteran baskets is the stainless steel.
The stainless steel chains are a lot slipperier. The things kick up and slide through a whole lot easier, and I've seen that firsthand.
It doesn't help that when they play DDO, they're playing into 35-mile-an-hour winds all the time. Of course. You know what I mean?
That's Kansas, and that's to be expected. So that you can't use that for an excuse because Kansas is always winning.
Yeah, you would think they wouldn't have that issue if they're probably like play testing these baskets in Kansas.
Right.
You know? So
the other questionable side of this that there is still a solution for is, what do you do with the course baskets? So obviously the tour is going to have to transport their baskets in their equipment hauler. Right. Yeah. So they got to have enough room to transport 18 or 19 baskets, which, you know, is going to add cost to them. But that's part of growing the sport. That's part of becoming more a pro style sport. Is you're going to have these extra expenses.
Yeah.
So my thought is when you go to the course, you know obviously the TDs there, they're going to have help and they're going to have volunteers. You go and the course is closed the week of the events. At least Idlewild is closed. The Monday coming in Idlewild, the course is closed to the public. Pros are there, they're practicing, course getting ready, all that.
Yeah.
That's the time when the tour goes through and pulls the baskets out, or it might be 2 days before the tournament whenever the tour shows up. They pull the baskets out of the course and they install their baskets and store the course baskets in their trailer.
Yeah.
For safekeeping.
Yeah.
And then, as we've discussed with Ledgestone, as the tour goes through and finishes the hole, the crew's going through and swapping baskets out.
Yep. Yeah, so, and the local clubs could help with this too.
I would go on and help if I could. Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's another point that I had. I forget what it was.
I want to circle back to something. Whenever,
go for it.
Let me know when you get your thought back. I want to circle back to if we did, if we change who would design the baskets. Here's a reason I don't think that manufacturers would, unless the manufacturer like basically won like a bid to have their baskets be the Pro Tour baskets. I think a lot of manufacturers would be against this idea because think of it from a business perspective. Again, being pessimistic. Think of it from a business perspective. If we abandon, say MVP Open, we abandon the MVP baskets. They don't get to showcase their product on their course at their event. And people will not be convinced to buy it because what will happen is the Pro Tour gets their own basket made, right? Regardless of who makes it or who designed it. Then the Pro Tour starts selling Pro Tour baskets. Then guess what? Every other company starts losing out on potential income because the Pro Tour is selling their own baskets. Why would if I was a customer, I would be very enticed to buy a Pro Tour basket. I want to putt on what the pros are putting on. And pros themselves would probably buy Pro Tour baskets so they can practice on what they're going to be playing for big money on. Do you kind of get what I'm saying? Like, manufacturers would lose out at showcasing their product if A, they didn't get to have their design chosen for the Pro Tour basket, or just like B, just in general, we move to a Pro Tour basket. Does that make sense?
It does, but let's just say the tour baskets are not up for sale. They're specifically designed for consistency across the tour.
Mm.
Now, when was the last time you bought a basket?
A couple of years ago. I got 3 of them.
And they just sit there.
Yeah.
Well, I have one that just sits there. But like I bought a Discraft basket because I turned in a bunch of discs to Hazy and had some credits. So I bought a basket like 3-4 years ago.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to go change the basket that I have just because, there's a new tour basket coming out. I'm going to stick with what I have because for me, it's cost effective. And chances are I'm never going to play on a tour basket. So why would I spend the money to buy one?
That's true. But you need to think about new players who.
Right.
Think about us new players. We've been playing for. Think about a guy who's been playing for 8 months, really falling in love with the sport. He should be only playing with a DX AVR and a DX Rock and a Leopard. He should still only be playing with those discs. But you know what he does, or she? They go out and they get the grip bag. Right?
And the destroyers. And
they get the destroyers.
Whatever.
And they go and they get the basket. When they go to league and they miss every single putt, and someone says, man, you got to get a basket. It'll change your game. Guess what? Buying a basket really does change your game. So I will say that.
But I'm going to do my research on what baskets are most popular in my area. And I'm going to go buy either one that's the most popular in my area, or I'm going to just buy whatever's affordable.
But that's you. You're a smart guy. You've been in the game for a bit. A new player doesn't need a grip bag. They just got it because it was the top of the line. People with money in this situation are the most dangerous consumers because they go out and they buy the Pro Tour basket. They buy the grip bag. And I bought the grip bag. I still love my grip bags. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't need a grip bag. I just bought it because I had money.
But what if the Pro Tour baskets were not for consumer use?
What if they were
not for sale?
I cannot see a world where the Disc Golf Pro Tour would miss out on that cash cow. You know? I can't see a world where they would be like, let's not sell our basket and make tons of money to make our brand and conglomerate bigger. I cannot see a world where they don't make versions of their Pro Tour basket to sell to other people.
Fair. I just think standardizing it takes away all the inconsistencies is my biggest.
It does, and that is. I'm just trying to think of like why it's not necessarily like a bad idea. These things I'm talking about are more like hurdles that I think that the Pro Tour could run into trying to make their own basket. But ultimately, no matter what happens, even if they choose a basket that like I personally don't like or you personally don't like, the fact that they did it or do it is a step in the right direction. I don't like the Discraft baskets. I don't like the 3-chain system. I don't like it at all. But if they went to that for every event, that's consistency. And that's good. Consistency is good, regardless of what they do.
Yeah.
I mean, unless they went to veterans. I feel like veterans would be the worst.
Yeah. And that's one of the things, like, I see a lot of the comments on the live streams where, oh, well, it looks like Prodigy baskets didn't catch another great putt. Well, is it the basket's fault, or is it the fact that they didn't putt on the basket correctly?
Right, but
because we've taught before, and I've made a comment that with Prodigy baskets, you have to commit to the putt. That they don't like to catch soft putts.
Yeah.
Not saying you got to jam it in there, but you have to hit them with a little bit of force.
I'm personally a little indifferent. I've put on the blue ones and the green ones, and the blue ones I think are harder to putt on. I feel like I got to jam those more.
Yeah, you do.
And I've put on the green ones. I've had a pretty good experience with those. I've enjoyed those, but the blue ones have been kind of tough.
Right.
Then you go
to another.
The video on Instagram of me like hitting that Prodigy basket dead straight in the middle. Remember that? And it fell out. That was on a blue Prodigy basket.
Gotcha. I mean, yeah, every basket's gonna spit out if it's a bad putt.
Yeah.
But the goal is to minimize the spit outs. The goal is to minimize the inconsistency and make a better overall product for A, the players, and B, the spectators.
Yeah.
Watch big putts get hit or whatever.
Right.
I don't think I can pick one manufacturer to create the basket, because I think all they're going to do is they're going to make a spin-off of their core basket.
Yeah. But I
don't think having a manufacturer do it would be a good idea, because, again, they're going to be biased towards their product. That's why if you put a committee together and say, hey, we're going to pay X amount of $1,000 for you guys to design this basket for us, split the pot across everybody. Yeah.
I just think it would be like quite the crazy collab if like manufacturers worked on something behind the scenes, or even like worked with the Pro Tour. I feel like that's a collab you wouldn't see. Like I can't see Innova or Discraft being like, yes, I would love to partner with DD to make the next big basket, or to partner with Prodigy. Like I can't see that from those companies. But yeah, it's just tough. Like there's just so many ways that they could go about it that, you know, honestly, it's really interesting.
Yeah, we're overthinking another design process, but
yeah. Well, I mean,
maybe
we're a podcast. Again, we got to do that.
You don't bring in the manufacturer specifically. You hire a core team of engineers.
Yeah,
that come in and they travel. Say, and they go to like the Dynamic Disc warehouse, or they go to the MVP warehouse, or wherever, you know, or Prodigy or DGA. And they go tour and they do their research on the different baskets, and then maybe they go putt on different baskets and get feedback from players, and they take all that feedback, and then that's how they design the basket. So you could still take aspects of the Prodigy baskets or aspects of the dynamic baskets, but not have a copyrighted infringement.
Right.
You're just taking feedback from designs and creating your own that's going to hopefully be the standard.
But what happens when the Pro Tour does this? They make their own basket, they engineered it themselves, and it sucks. Then what?
Well, you still have a consistent basket.
Which, true. Yeah, you still have a consistent basket. And ultimately, like, that's what we're going for here. Because, like I said before, like, we've been talking a lot from a consumer standpoint and from, like, a manufacturer standpoint. We haven't talked enough about from a player standpoint, which ultimately, they have a big input in it. You know what I mean? Like we said before, having to change your style from basket to basket, weekend to weekend, is not really fair for the players.
Exactly. So, I don't know. It's just something to consider, something to think about. Maybe it's a step in the direction of becoming more of a pro style sport.
Yeah, and like
something like that.
You brought up the point about the of the PGA Cups. I'm betting that was that was probably a standard very early on in the PGA Tour,
right?
And those are probably,
and to some extent, the Pro Tour as we know it is fairly young, and it's still in its growth days potentially. Yeah. So now is the time to implement something like this.
It is, yeah, it is.
And everybody knows when you go to Maple Hill, you know it's MVP. Yes. Regardless of what bats turn on, you know it's MVP is the title sponsor. Dynamic Disc opens, DD's a title sponsor. So I don't think that's an issue, but again, I mean, you can't showcase those specific baskets because of the tour standard, but at the same time, you want things consistent. Take out the variable. I don't know. I keep saying that. That's where I'm going to leave it at. So
yeah, and as a sponsor, they could still do like a custom wrap or something from weekend to weekend. You know what I mean? If it's,
I would probably do something like magnetic stickers or magnetic graphics to put on, because vinyl wrapping is going to cost way too much.
Okay.
To put it on for a weekend to rip it off to put a new one on, just get big magnets that go around the band or something.
Okay, fair enough. I don't know anything about what it costs to put a vinyl wrap on, so you probably would know that better than I would.
The time and the cost of the material is just going to be more than it's worth when you can print 20 magnetic stickers and have those for the whole season. So, fans, what are your thoughts on that? Feel free to post up on our Facebook when we drop this, or comment on YouTube. Go to the Discord, comment there. Just curious on your thoughts. Moving on to the next part of the main course. If you recall Champions Cup, there was a weather delay that pretty much killed an entire day for MPO, which means they had to go out the following morning, play their 18, take about a 2-hour break, and then get back on the course to play their next round. Is there a better way to handle weather delays like that? Maybe push that day to push it back a day for the field that had the, because obviously FPO got all 4 rounds in as normal, right? They completed all 4 rounds on the day they were supposed to. The MPO, on the other hand, played round 1. Round 2 was a massive delay. Had to play rounds 2 and 3 on one day. Should the Pro Tour and the TD collab to push the MPO final to Monday?
That is such a tough question to answer. Because I ultimately, and the problem is I'm not a touring pro, so like my opinion is kind of whatever because I don't travel. But because the way that the Pro Tour has kind of like fixed the schedule to keep things a lot closer, from one event to the next, they're typically a lot closer in proximity than they have been in the past. I think it makes a lot more sense now in that aspect to maybe push a round back, like you're saying. We're like, okay, now final round is on Monday instead of Sunday. The players don't have to travel as far. Yes, it kind of sucks. You do lose a day of practice at your next event. But I don't know how I feel about squishing so much disc golf into one day. What are your thoughts?
I mean, at the end of the day, most of our local events are 2 rounds in one day, but you're not playing Idlewild course twice a day. You're not playing, you know, Toboggan twice a day or Maple Hill twice a day. So it's a lot different playing a local course twice a day versus playing a tour course twice a day. I think one of the biggest things that should be considered is just omitting that entire round for that field. So it would suck to lose.
Too. That's so tough too.
To some extent, yes.
Because what if Kyle Klein was, you know what I mean? He's through 17 holes and he's 11 down, and then you know what I mean. All of a sudden, we have to omit that effort. That's hard.
It is, and I don't think that's the answer at all. But that is an option, because I've heard of it where if tournaments get delayed and they can say the MPO or they only get through X amount of holes, they only score up to, say, hole 15, wherever the last one, the whole field completed.
But then on the flip side of what I just said, are you going to make Kyle Klein come back the next day for one hole of disc golf?
Well, that's easy because essentially I was talking to Kevin, and it's essentially a shotgun start, but it's not a shotgun start. You just walk back out to where your previous lie was, whatever hole you were on. You play out that hole, and finish out from there. So you're not starting over. So in the case of, say, Kyle being on hole 16 or 17, that's not a big deal.
Right.
Gets it on the course, 7 o'clock, 2-minute warning. They start. He's done with that round in, say, half hour tops. And he may not tee off till chase card. So now he's got a 6 to 7 hour break before he has to be back on the course.
Yeah. That is a good point. I'm curious to see what listeners think or viewers on YouTube.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm really curious.
My biggest thing with it was, so the FPO didn't get done until after lead card for men would have teed off, and I don't think the men got to compete round 2 at all that first day.
Yeah, I don't think they did either. Yeah.
So because they had, I think, a 3 or 4 hour rain delay.
Yeah.
It was quite a long one. I don't know. I just don't know how to best handle that situation, if they could have done anything different.
I played Eureka Temp at Ledstone, and playing a course like that twice in one day would be pretty challenging. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's not even their most challenging. Imagine if they're a Northwood Black and had to play 2 rounds of that in one day. That's ridiculous.
Well, that's where Champions Cup was Northwood Park. It was a mix of black and gold.
I mean, I guess, that's true. My mind was
imagine playing Toboggan twice a day.
Toboggan, that's a great example. Toboggan.
All the elevation changes. Dude,
that's too much. That's way too much. I can barely play Idlewild once a day. It's tough. Here's another thing too. So if this would be tough for the locals, but what if, say, the Disc Golf Pro Tour has control of the schedule, right? What if they push next week event back to a start on Friday or Saturday? You know what I mean? Depending on proximity, and then once you hit one of those 2-week spans, one of those little 2-week breaks, then things kind of reset. Because we have a couple of those 2-week breaks in the schedule. Does that make sense? But at some point, you'd have to consider, you couldn't do that and push the whole. You'd push a quarter of the season back a whole day.
Well, not only that, but think about the spectators. Now you're asking the spectators to take another day off of work to watch the final round.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. People paid money for those tickets. Dude, rain delays are horrible.
If you're going from Illinois to Kansas, that's only a 6 or 7 hour drive. That's not a big deal. You could have easily finished out on Monday.
Yeah.
Players get there Monday night, can practice Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's just, again, something that I thought about, that I posted the question up just to see if we can get some thoughts on it.
I'm curious what other people think, because I personally, I feel like I don't have a good answer for it. Honestly, I feel like I don't.
I don't. I really don't. I mean, I just know things that I've thought of, and I don't think it's the right answer.
Yeah, I want to see
just curious, though.
I want to see some comments on this, and then if we get enough feedback, then we can talk about some of the points that people made in our next episode as well. We'll post it on Facebook as well for you guys to kind of chat about.
If we can get one of the pros on a week off. This would have been a great week to have somebody join us. But,
Yeah, that would be great to pick their brain about.
right.
And the baskets too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So we got a pro tip?
Pro tip. Here's my pro tip. Okay. If you've been playing for less than 6 months, stick to your DX AVR, your DX Rock, and your Champion Leopard. Don't go out and buy the grip bag. If you're going to go out and buy anything, buy a basket. How do you feel about that one?
Good enough for me. And putt.
Putt. You're going to make up your strokes on the green.
What'd you say last year, Brandon? Putting is key? Or putting wins tournaments or something like that?
Yep.
All right. So there you guys have it. There's episode 52. Till next episode, keep it in the fairway.